Hasta la vista, baby.
Another thing Arnold Schwarzenegger said in the film that Boris Johnson is quoting, it was, "I'll be back." And that's something he wants to leave hanging in the House of Commons. There's always an impression that Boris Johnson gives that he's not quite finished, that he's got a little more up his sleeve, that there might be more to come. Nonetheless, this was his farewell speech as Prime Minister. Let's have a look at what he tried to say, what lessons he tried to leave for any successor.
Number one, stay close to the Americans, stick up for the Ukrainians, stick up for freedom and democracy everywhere.
Well, that's Johnson's big sell, the diplomat, the international man of stature. Keeping close to the Americans, that's a pretty obvious one. Backing Ukraine, that's something that Boris will be remembered for having stood up for while the Europeans took longer to get involved. So that is a big tick as far as he's concerned, a credit. And then there's that reference to freedom and democracy. Boris Johnson never can resist the urge to channel his inner Winston Churchill and sound like the elder statesman of the world. Boris Johnson will want to be remembered as a great geopolitician. Well, what about his views on the economy?
Everywhere. Cut taxes and deregulate wherever you can to make this the greatest place to live and invest, which it is. I love the Treasury, but remember that if we'd always listened to the Treasury, we wouldn't have built the M25 or the Channel Tunnel.
Well, that's all very well. There's a dig in there at his former Chancellor. Throughout history, Prime Ministers and Chancellors have clashed in terms of performance, in terms of ideology and policy. A look at Gordon Brown and Tony Blair, David Cameron and George Osborne, and now Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak. There is a part of Boris Johnson that feels he was betrayed by Rishi Sunak, that Rishi Sunak was, as one MP put it, the man who let the air out of the bubble of Boris Johnson's leadership. If that's the case, then he won't be wanting to thank Rishi Sunak for any of his economic policies. But listen to this.
We produced £408 billion worth of support for families and for businesses up and down the country, Mr. Speaker, and the only reason we were able to do it at such speed is because we managed the economy in a sensible and moderate way.
So on this occasion, he does support Rishi Sunak. That might have been an error in his reply to the opposition leader Keir Starmer, claiming that they did a good job and therefore for putting Rishi Sunak in a positive light, because although he hasn't declared himself on the leadership issue, it's clear that Boris Johnson would prefer Liz Truss as a successor rather than Rishi Sunak because of his ill feelings towards the Chancellor's behaviour. So the dilemma there remains, of course, with the new leader coming in. Do they pursue economic policies established by the Boris Johnson administration, or do they turn to something new? They run the risk of being criticised either way, of pursuing old policies or changing their minds midstream.
Focus on the road ahead, but always remember to check the rear-view mirror.
Watch out for your enemies. Everyone who leaves office in UK politics can't resist at least one chance to reach out for sympathy, to express that they did their best, that they were misunderstood, that somehow their early demise was unfair, and Boris Johnson is no different to that, feeling slightly sorry for himself that he couldn't continue for the length of time that he had hoped for, but nonetheless, that is the end, and that's a classic way for a Tory politician to announce that to Parliament. As far as his relationship to the opposition, that doesn't change. Throughout his time here, he and Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, have had fairly rumbustious conversations amongst each other, with Boris Johnson constantly flinging names like Captain Highsight and other nicknames that get quoted in the press at his opponent. And today he managed to come up with one that was quoted by almost everybody in the press.
He's one of those pointless plastic bollards you find around a deserted roadworks on a motorway, Mr. Speaker.
Some would say that's vintage Johnson. Certainly his friends who applauded him at the end of his speech will think so, but others will say that it's simply a case of sour grapes.